Liberal Democrats were entitled to choose the new party leader, but in the end, fewer than a third of that number voted for Nick Clegg. So I asked him if he was serious when he said he was going to get people who aren't even members of his party to vote for him.
Yes, of course I am, because the message that I got from all the thousands of members I met over the last few weeks was precisely that they want me as leader to get on with the business of uniting the party so we can then stop talking to ourselves and talk to people out there who I think have just been switched off by politics altogether.
Isn't the message really that although you started favourite, the more they saw of you, the less they liked you?
No, not at all. This was always going to be a closely fought contest.
511 votes is a resounding endorsement, is it?
Jeremy, a result is a result in politics, and one can sneer at that result if you like, but that's the way a democracy works, whether it's in a political party or not. That is the result I've got, and it's a mandate to do what I have been saying throughout the leadership contest, which is to unite the party and reach out to new voters.
So you call a majority of 511 an endorsement?
Of course I do. You cannot start splitting hairs when you have a democratic contest in which there's a clear outcome. And anyway, as I was talking to Chris Huhne just after the count, one thing that I think both of us feel very strongly is that it is the similarities, what unites us in the Liberal Democrats, that is far more important than any sort of passing debates within a leadership contest.
Tell us 10 interesting things about you.
No, I'm not going to sit here and tell you 10 interesting things.
Tell us 3 interesting things about you.
I'll tell you one thing that I said today and that is very important.
Is this interesting about
you? You can be the judge of that. It is important to me that my liberalism is something that I have had from a young age, precisely because my family is a family that was separated, marked, reunited by the big conflicts of the last century, and for that reason and many others, I was brought up from a very early age to think that Britain has principles of tolerance, of pluralism, a history steeped in democracy and a rule of law, which I think those great traditions are being lost. And I think one of the things that the Liberal Democrats are in politics to do is to show that there is a liberalism to being British, which I think is being lost.
Well, I suppose the audience will judge whether that's a uniquely interesting thing, but is there a single member of the political establishment who wouldn't claim that Britain had all those values?
I think there are very few members of the Labour or the Conservative parties who really authentically stand up to those principles. Look, this is a government, this is a new Labour government that has trampled on our civil liberties in the most shameless way over the last 10 years. A Conservative government which talks about social justice but has no idea how to deliver it. A country in which you are now condemned by the circumstances of your birth more fully than for a generation.
You say you're going to move the party out of its comfort zone. Give us 3 specific areas in which you want to do that.
The first area is this. I want the party to start where people are, not where we think they should be. I want us to be speaking on the fundamental issues of education, health, safety and security in our neighbourhoods. Not a lot of the issues.
Exactly what every other party's talking about.
No, because I don't think the other parties have got the answers. This is the issue.
But they're talking about education, they're talking about health, they're talking about crime.
They're talking and they're not delivering. And one of the things that I will seek to do between the now and the next general election is that for a party, the Liberal Democrats, which I'm perfectly happy to admit has been a party which has been talking to itself a little bit too much over the last 2 years, we now need to shift and start from where people are, start from those everyday concerns, relentlessly go on about them. That's why over the next few months you'll see new thinking from my party on education, on health, on the key issues, which will matter by the time people cast their vote at the next election.
You say you're going to hold town hall meetings and you're going to have engagement with families who have no political commitments.
Yeah.
Supposing those people tell you that, for example, they want a referendum on the Lisbon Treaty, will you abide by that?
No, I will explain to them why I don't agree with that.
So,
no, hang on, Jeremy.
They're doing the listening, not you.
Jeremy, you may sneer at this. I'm not going to.
I'm asking you what on earth it means.
Well, can you not understand the difference between listening to people and suggesting, which is your suggestion, that if you listen to people, that you just passively do what they say? No. What I'm saying is I'm standing very clearly for a liberalism which I think many people share. Now, hang on. But there are many people who are shut out from the political system. Many people who I think want to have a way of communicating to politicians about the kind of things that matter to them. But this is, of course, a dialogue.
Precisely. And they tell you, we want a referendum on that treaty, or they say to you, we don't agree with an amnesty for illegal immigrants, we want to see them deported. You're not going to listen to them there either.
I will explain in that case, as I've explained before, and I'll explain to you now again, that there is no way that any British government is ever going to deliver on the absurd pledge from Labour and the Conservative parties. Let me finish, because you just put this specific point to me, that they're going to deport 600,000 people. I don't know of a government, a police state in a time of war who's done that. So I will then explain that if we're going to be honest and realistic about this, we're going to have to think differently about the way in which we deal with a whole community of people who are living illegally in this country. Isn't that the kind of honesty you want in politics?
The point about both these examples is that you already have a fixed position. There is therefore nothing but hot air to be gained by the sort of dialogue you claim to be promoting.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Of course I will listen, but at the same time I'm not going to... Hang on, I'm not going to resign...
You're not going to change your mind. What's the point of listening?
Jeremy, you're assuming that you know what they're going to say to me. You don't know that. Don't arrogate to yourself something that I'm not going to. You're saying you've given me
it's a hypothetical.
OK, it's hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical. If they say that to you, you won't listen.
Well, Jeremy, one of the things I'm not going to do, you can do it if you wish, is to talk hypotheticals. I want to go out and listen to people. And I tell you what I think I will...
You've already told us you won't listen to them if they say certain things.
Jeremy, I've told you why I think it is wholly unrealistic of anyone in this country to think that we are going to deport hundreds of thousands of people, and any politician in government...
It's also unrealistic to have a referendum on the Lisbon Treaty.
It is not unrealistic. What I will say in reply is that I believe there is a case for a referendum on whether we stay in or out of the European Union. That is an honest debate. Let's not have the false debate that the Conservatives want, which is a sort of legalistic argument on the text of a new treaty, which is, frankly, a minnow compared to some of the big treaties that the Conservative Party itself, like the Maastricht Treaty, rammed through the House of Commons without a referendum. If they want to debate, if people want to debate, I want to have it too. But then let's have it on an open, straightforward basis of whether we're going to stay in or out of the European Union. That seems to me, dare I say it, Jeremy, to be an honest answer to a question that people might put to me.
Nick Clegg, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, now I'm joined